it's Renee. Welcome to my channel. So for today's video, I wanted to do something a little different. So one of my actual favorite things to watch on YouTube, there's a few things. I love watching mukbangs, which I probably will never do. I love watching them because I think they're fun a little bit. And then I love watching hauls, love watching Let's Plays. Another big thing that I love to watch book hauls. I think that watching book hauls are really fun and entertaining because you can kind of see what people are into and kind of maybe if you should check out any new books, because I do love to read a lot. And so what I wanted to share with you guys was my huge stack of comics and books that I have been buying and that I plan on reading. Well, one of them I've technically already read, but I'll read it again. But yeah, I totally get it. If this isn't your thing, if you want to skip it, it's not my usual content. I just wanted to try it out, maybe see if you guys were interested in picking up any new comic books or the couple of books that I grabbed. If you are, stay tuned and we'll get into it. Yeah, so for the first couple of stuff, I'm going to go into the Marvel comics that I have been buying and that I've bought recently, and then I'll go into some other stuff too. So my mom recently, I forget what for, but she gave me a gift card for something. So she gave me a $25 Amazon gift card just out of the blue, and she was like, yeah, she's like, just buy yourself something on Amazon if you want. And I was like, okay. And so I actually bought these. So I love Marvel comics. I've always been a big Marvel person, even since I was a kid. My mom read a ton of Marvel comics. She has a bunch that she used to let me read. I used to like DC, but I only would ever watch the DC cartoons. I don't really read a lot of the DC comic books. They're not really my thing unless they're offshoots of video games and stuff. So yeah, so I picked up volume 5 of Miss Marvel and volume 6 of Miss Marvel. This one is called Super Famous and this one is called Civil War 2. And Miss Marvel, if you're unfamiliar who she is, her name is actually Kamala Khan. She is a Pakistani American character and she is so cool. She's Muslim. She's really cool. She's from Jersey City. And Miss Marvel, the original Carol Danvers Miss Marvel at this point, she's now Captain Marvel, which is the one you'll be probably seeing in the new one in after Infinity War. But she's kind of the one who, she's always been a big fan of Miss Marvel of Miss Marvel. And so one day she's actually at a party and then a canister of the stuff that activates your, I forget what it's called, but it activates your Inhuman gene. It gets unlocked and she actually discovers that she has powers because she has Inhuman genes in her. And so that kind of allows her to take up the mantle of Miss Marvel, and she's really cool. I love these. So I had heard of her before and I'd been wanting to read them, but I took a women's gender studies class and it had to do with intersectionality between gender, religion, race, all that. And so we actually were required to read volume 1 of this. And so I bought volume 1 and I've been obsessed with it ever since. I'm super thankful for that class. So yeah, I picked up volume 5 and 6 because I have volumes 1 through 4. And they're so good. If you're looking for a really cool, she's a huge nerd, a really cool, really kind of inspirational, new superhero that you've never read before, I would totally recommend picking up Miss Marvel. Or if you have any maybe young girls and you want to get them into comics and you're looking for a cool inspirational character, I would definitely recommend these. These are so good. They're very appropriate. They're not really gross or gory. It talks about her being part of from an immigrant family, but she was born in America, but she still has she's still dealing with growing up as an American but still being Pakistani. It's such a good it's really cool seeing her life intersectioning or going through as this, but also as a superhero and having to contend with that. It's a really, really great series. I love these a lot. This is nice. The person who shipped it put it in one of the backs and I'm really thankful for that because I don't have any of those. I just put them in I put them in bags usually but without the backs on them. I need to buy some. But yeah, these are really great. Definitely pick some up on Amazon or eBay. They're a little bit cheaper that way. But you can get them on Amazon with Prime, and I think that they're just such great comics. And then another one. So I got volume 1 of Black Panther. I've been meaning to get this because I was obsessed with the Black Panther movie when it came out. I saw it once with my parents and I saw it once with my sister, and we saw it right before we went and saw Infinity War. But this is the Black Panther, the newer comics. This is A Nation Under Our Feet, book 1, and I'm gonna pick up book 2, but I did get this. I was really, really excited to get this, and Black Panther was just so good. I remember watching it and being this is my new favorite Marvel movie. I love this movie. I love that movie, and I loved Thor Ragnarok. I think those are 2 really good movies, but I loved it a lot. If you're looking for, I haven't read this, I can't totally tell you what it's like yet, but I've been kind of going through the comics, and it has a really cool, it has a really cool kind of I want to say more of a warm tone to it, but then there's still it's just really bright and pretty, and I love the art. And then they have little pop figure stuff like that too. or like they'll have like Black Panther with him like getting some yarn. And also too, to go along with some Marvel comics that I got, I didn't actually pay for these, but right before Toys R Us closed, they had these available, I guess. Maybe they were just remnants. And so right before the Toys R Us kind of by us closed, I saw these there. And yeah, it was for Battle World Thors, and it's just like a bunch of different Thor characters on the front. I'm wondering if I could find more of these. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, I think they were just giving them out for free when Thor Ragnarok came out. And this is one for Spider-Man Homecoming. It's cute if you flip through. It's just like, this one takes place at a Toys R Us. Like, you know how it is. But I just thought that it was kind of cool, and you won't ever see it again because Toys R Us, obviously, most of them have shut down. So yeah, I just grabbed that because I asked the cashier, I was like, oh, are these free? And she's like, yeah, just take them. They're fine. I'm like, okay. And so then I grabbed this one too because I love Thor. Then for the next set of comics that I got, I went kind of insane. So I don't know if you've ever played it, but I played twice. I own 2 copies of it now because they're both, one's physical, one's digital. Video game called The Wolf Among Us. It's made by Telltale. They're kind of like the interactive video games. And The Wolf Among Us is kind of about the story of fairy tales who now live in New York City, like in the 70s. And it's kind of about like their existence in America and kind of how they're coping and kind of how their government's crumbling and how they can't really find jobs in the, it's like a whole thing. It's a really cool concept, like really awesome. And I love that video game. That video game is one of my favorite video games like ever. And I'm not typically like, I like Telltale games, but I know a lot of people too like Tales from the Borderlands, which I liked a lot too, but I loved The Wolf Among Us. I'm so excited. It's getting a season 2 this year. And my heart cried when I saw that because I was so excited. But that video game's actually based off of a bunch of comics, and they're by the brand called, or not brand, they're by the company called Vertigo, which I'm pretty sure is owned by DC now. I don't think that they're like a separate entity anymore. If they are, I'll look it up and I'll correct myself on screen. But yeah, I was like, you know what, I really love these. And so a little while ago, when I first played it, I actually bought the first 2, so I have book 1 and book 2. But it is based off of the series called The Fables. So I bought a bunch of the volumes. So originally, so these are actually kind of still expensive if you buy them from Amazon. And the nice thing about these, since these have been out for a long time, because they were released in like the early 2000s to mid 2000s, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I was really, really excited to be able to pick a lot of these up. So some of these I did order from Amazon, and I wouldn't really recommend buying comics on Amazon. It's not as affordable as you think. I would check out eBay first because a lot of stores will do, you can get buy 3 and then they'll give you like 15% off. So most of these, like I bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I bought 7 comic books for under $30 because they were so affordable, like, and most of them had free shipping. The most expensive ones, like I said, were from Amazon. So yeah, it was just a lot more affordable in general to buy them off of eBay, because these would have been like $10 to $15 each had I not done that. But yeah, so I bought, they're the Fables, like I said, so it's kind of just basically about fables. Like they had to escape their country because they had to escape their original homeland because it was taken over by like this bad guy. I've only read comics 1 and 2, and then I have a couple other side stories that I want to buy too. The people that used to be kings and queens no longer have wealth. They're having to work, having to make it through life just to survive. And then it has characters like Snow White and like the big bad wolf, and that's kind of who it centers around. That's what like the video game centers around. And I'm really excited to read these. Like I said, I bought 3 through 9, and some of these are originally, like this one was originally a library book. If you can find some that were like that, you can get them for really, really cheap. I don't mind that if they come from a library, because it typically means that they were pretty taken care of. And these are all super nice and all pretty much the same qualities if I were to buy them new. But yeah, super nice. I'm really excited to read them all. It's a really cool, like, interesting story. If you're looking for something interesting to read that, I don't know, it's just kind of different from a lot of stuff, and then the art is very cool and very different. Like, it still kind of has like that old comic book feel a little bit to it, and then it's kind of like, because there is a Wolf Among Us comic book, but it still has that kind of cool, like, typical comic cell shading. And I don't know, it's really cool. And then I love the cover art for each of them. I don't know, I'm just like super into it. I'm so excited to read all of these. And I just think that they're awesome like this. Super excited to read more of these. I've already read the first 2, and I'm excited to own more. Because I love comic books so much. Because I talked about this a little bit in one of my other hauls, but books have always had such a great impact on my life, because when I was younger, I was bullied pretty bad, and I didn't have really a lot of friends, and so I would turn to books. And then recently I've been turning to comic books. But I remember when I was a kid, my mom, she would take me to Barnes & Noble, and I would buy like 2 to 3 books a week, and I would read them all, and then I'd be back at Barnes & Noble buying more. Or I did have, technically the librarian was my friend at school, and so anytime she got new books, she'd be like, oh, I think you'd like this. And so she would be like, oh yeah, check out these, or she would let me check out extra books. And it was always just a really great thing for me. And so yeah, I've been really into comic books a lot lately, especially too because of Marvel, and then playing video games has really gotten me into reading more video game comics. But yeah, I'm really excited to read all of these. I feel like it's really important to kind of have that hobby you can kind of always go back to that just makes you happy, and reading has always made me happy. And for the books that I've been reading, so I actually purchased this for a class. I had been renting it and I'm almost done reading it, but it's called Rubbish and it's the archaeology of garbage. I am an anthropology major, which I'm going to be working on for my master's. This is by William Rothjay, and Colin Murphy. This actually discusses kind of like what goes into our landfills in America and how much garbage America produces, and it's like a crazy amount. And it kind of talks about how they went through and they would analyze people's garbage and go through it and kind of see like what people throw away, how much plastic is in it, how much paper is in it. Sometimes some landfills are so full they can actually preserve the garbage underneath it, and so they'll find like perfectly preserved like guacamole containers and stuff like that. It's actually super interesting. And yeah, basically it's talking about the Garbage Project, which I'm pretty sure was started by William Rothjay and these guys. I think they kind of wrote about it. And it's just really, really interesting and really good. I definitely recommend picking it up because like I said, I got it for a class, but I would totally just buy this had I known about it. But it's super interesting. It just talks about like the archaeology of garbage and how really when you look at other cultures, a lot of their artifacts that are found are their refuse, their garbage that they leave behind. And so this stuff is really interesting to read. If you're really looking into maybe becoming an anthropologist or studying archaeology, I think this is a great book to pick up because it's super, super interesting. And then finally, for the last book, I've actually read this before and I read it for a class in international communications, but I just recently bought it because I had rented it before, returned it, and I was like, you know what, I like that book, I want to reread it. And it's I Am Malala, and it says the girl who stood up for education and was shot by the Taliban. So Malala is like, that's who she was. She grew up in Pakistan. Technically she grew up in Swat Valley, which is controlled by Pakistan, and she basically, her dad ran a school and he would like have a school there and he would educate people. He would give out tons of like free tuition to people because he wanted people to be educated. Her dad was an education advocate for women and for men because he went to college and everything, like, so he had always kind of instilled that into her. And so she basically was like, I want to go to school, like I want to go to school, I want to learn. And yeah, she's just a really, really cool, like impactful person. And she literally, because of her standing up and going to rallies, she was shot by a member of the Taliban, and she lived. She was shot in the head, but she lived. And she's been like, I'm pretty sure she's in college now in England because I think that's where she lives. But she would love to, I mean, this book is really, really good. But yeah, she lives there now and she goes to college there, and it's just a really great, really impactful story just about someone who is way braver than I am and way stronger than I am, and it's really inspirational to how she was basically able to make it through and just continue advocating for education, because her main focus really is to provide an equal education for women and girls because they're typically the most uneducated around the world. She's a huge advocate for that. And yeah, it's a really great book. I bought the hardcover because it was actually cheaper than the paperback on Amazon. But yeah, I think it's a really great story if you haven't read about it. And it just kind of talks about her life. She talks about living under the Taliban regime. It's really, really a great book, and it's super interesting, and it's a great book to pick up. I hope you enjoyed this book haul. Like I said, if you did not, that's totally fine. If you enjoyed it, I could always do more for whenever I buy more books. I just think it's kind of fun to share with you what I've been reading or what I'm going to read or what I have read, and kind of introduce you more lifestyle stuff, and so you can see kind of what I'm into, or maybe if you're looking for new books to read. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below, comment, and subscribe. It'd be great to have you here. Again, my name's Renee. Thanks for watching. Bye.